All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, baby. We are live. If y'all could, we're doing an experiment right now, so we want to make sure that everything is working correctly. Let me know that you can hear us both clearly. Rob, if you can give him a little mic check, 1 2 1 2, and spit your hottest.
What's up,
16.
everybody? Oh shit! Hey, look, I didn't come prepared with my bars today.
Oh, you didn't bring your iPhone like
no.
Drake.
No.
I'm about to break this freestyle real quick.
Oh shit! Yeah, like cannabis.
Let me shake it. I gotta bring my words back. I accidentally deleted them. Hey man, I'm a big Drake fan though, but that shit was hilarious. That shit was hilarious. I'm sorry. Like I never caught first. I heard the freestyle first. I didn't see the video first.
Oh shit! Yeah, that damn.
So when I saw the video, I was like, "Oh, Drake, you doing the light skinned boys wrong, bro. Why you doing them like this?"
I feel like freestyle. The term freestyle has been taken completely out of whack from what it actually used to mean.
Yeah.
People used to actually memorize. I mean, look, a lot of they used to actually memorize their own shit. Now they just pull out their fucking phone and do it from there.
Yeah, they do it from there.
Come on, man.
Or they used to spit off the top, but some cats can really, like Fabulous and a lot of the like 90s rappers or rappers that got popular after the 90s, them up, they can still do it. You can tell they're freestyling. Obviously Wayne still freestyle. I remember I was watching an interview with him on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and he was asked to perform his album, and Jimmy Kimmel's staff had to write down the lyrics to the songs that he was performing, because after he records the songs, he just moves on to the next song and he doesn't actually listen to them. And he doesn't write his music.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
So he said,
if you listen to his shit though, it makes total sense. Like,
yeah,
well, I swear, like one of the hottest shit he ever spit was a Big Bad Wolf.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The
Drought 3, that whole mixtape. You can tell he was freestyling the way he strung things together. I need to do the glasses, goddamn. All right, people. I need somebody to let me know that you can hear us. Oh, I can probably ask. I can check myself. Gotta have a phone. Okay. Okay, everybody sounds good. Shit, let's get it. Stephen Kazakowski, what's up, man? Toast 2020, goddamn right. So, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live MCSC Uncensored podcast. I am here with Robbie Yeager. Just as a disclaimer, generally, the MCSC Uncensored podcast is only available through Rockfin Premium and through Patreon members to either myself or Robbie. But this topic is so serious, it needs to be broken down and discussed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we need, it needs to be out in the public, and in good, legitimate, progressive analysis needs to be out there in the public. So we decided to go ahead and do this one live. And if you want more MCSC Uncensored podcasts between me and Robbie, and trust me, you're going to want more, you can go to Rockfin and become a premium member, or you can donate anything literally to any of our Patreons, and you'll have MCSC Uncensored podcast every Wednesday. Turn up. Anyway, with that being said, Robbie, what's going on, man? How was your holidays?
It was all right, man. I didn't do anything crazy. I let the rookies go out and party on New Year's, so I stayed at the house.
Oh, that's how I'm a rookie now. That's what we're doing.
Hey, look, man. I've had my trouble. Okay, I don't need no more.
I don't party like I used to. I got the UNC put the miles on my body. They put the miles on. I got them LeBron party miles. Whatever LeBron got, basketball miles. I got them LeBron party miles.
Hey, look, yeah, especially you go out there for Halloween, man. Franklin Street party.
Boy, Franklin Street. Bro, they got kids out there partying on Franklin Street on Halloween.
I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, look. So, but yeah, man, it was a great vacation, but of course, literally, I think it was on my birthday. Or either that day or the day after, we started bombing Iraq and Syria. Then in response to that, there was a protest that started in right outside of our U.S. embassy. Of course, we lied and exacerbated and said that there was people getting hurt, and yeah, nobody got hurt at all. Pasta was joking with me. He said, "Well, you didn't hear about the camera?" I was like, "The camera? What the hell are you talking about?" He said, "There was a camera that got destroyed, bro. There was one casualty." And I was like, "What?" He's like, He said that camera really went through it. It was a DSLR. You know, that's an expensive camera. Oh, y'all got a little bit of audio feedback. Hey, Robbie, turn yours down a little bit. It said it got a little bit of audio feedback. So, but we are here now. We are here. The situation is serious. The situation is evolving. It looks like it's worsening. I wish I could say that cooler heads will prevail. So far, cooler heads have prevailed on one side. Meanwhile, our president's Donald Trump, so we know how that game goes. So what's your take so far? I know you've been, like I said, you've been out of commission, so you've only been able to really report on Twitter. What is your take so far about this entire situation?
Basically, that it was an incredibly short-sighted move by our president to do what he did. And I feel like he's just been itching. He's been itching to do something, right? He wants to flex so damn bad. So, I feel like that's inevitably what he's done here, and he's escalated things far, far more than they probably ever would have been had he just left well enough alone. I mean, there is something to be said about what was happening at that embassy, but I mean, to ratchet it up to the level
Yeah.
that he did, almost immediately, I feel like with no efforts of diplomacy, no efforts to find out exactly what was actually happening, it's incredibly short-sighted, and it's unfortunate really because it's led to what we've got going on now. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that things kind of de-escalate now, but we got a psychopath in the White House, so there's really no telling what's going to happen now.
What's crazy about that protest outside of that embassy, right, is the fact that the whole excuse we use for staying in Iraq after there weren't any WMDs, right? Because there shouldn't even have been that. The whole excuse we use was, "Hey, we just want democracy for Iraqis. That's all." So they protest outside of their embassy, and this is democracy, right? So you have certain inalienable rights. One of those rights is the right free speech, including protest. They protest. They don't breach the embassy. Nobody gets hurt. No American is hurt. No American is put in harm's way. And our response is to kill their general. Then,
Crazy.
when they vote, they exercise democracy by having their legislature vote on a resolution to remove the United States from Iraq. They vote to remove us. And we're like, nah. We didn't mean that kind of democracy, dog. We didn't mean that. We meant the democracy where you give us all the money you get from oil and do whatever the hell we tell you to do. That kind of democracy. I don't think you understand what democracy means. I think democracy might have a different translation in Arabic or Farsi. I think that's what they were thinking. But this is where we're at right now. What do you find? So I'll give you my analysis of this, but there's this idea that's going around the neoliberal circles right now that Trump is trying to distract from impeachment. I find it ridiculous, but I want to know what your take is on it.
Look, I don't know if that's really what he's doing, because that just doesn't make sense. I mean, look, impeachment. If I was him, I'd want impeachment front and center everywhere, just so everybody could see how fucking stupid that it is at the moment, And also on the flip side, though, if we really want to talk about impeachment-worthy offenses, then hey, look, we just got one. But the Democrats were so busy and in such a hurry to do their thing up front over the Ukraine thing and all that other nonsense, that if they'd have just waited a few weeks, they'd have gotten something completely impeachment worthy. But hey, it's like I said, they were in such a hurry to go through some political theater to score some brownie points with the liberal base. Our entire government has just been completely short-sighted on both ends of the spectrum, both with Trump and his escalation of tensions with Iran, and the Democratic Party with their just hurry to put an asterisk next to Donald Trump's presidency. So
Yeah,
I mean,
100%. And first of all, there should be an asterisk about next to every single president in this country except for maybe George Washington. Like, that's basically, and even his, it was like, I mean, he owned slaves, so I guess it was legal, so it maybe not an asterisk at the time. It wasn't impeachable. I don't know, but basically every president should have an asterisk. So, but I find it ridiculous too. I think it's a lazy assertion. I think it's naive. I think it shows it's absent-minded. It means you haven't been paying attention to anything. You're just working backwards from your conclusion where you thought that impeachment was going to hurt Donald Trump. Let's look back at the facts for that, right? Did Nancy Pelosi send those articles of impeachment to the Senate? No. In fact, she's made it clear that she's going to hold them indefinitely, which means that the impeachment, not that it ever was, but even if it was, the impeachment is no longer a threat to Donald Trump, which actually, to me, leads me to believe that the impeachment is actually a threat to Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, because if she just wakes up in the morning and gets bored and is like, hey, we're going to actually do this trial right now, then Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are required by law, because they are technically jury. They're part of the jury of the Senate, and that actually requires them to be there, like any other juror that, if it was you or I in a regular grand jury. So that's one thing, but it's being held up indefinitely, so it's not a threat to Trump. In fact, if you're like looking at conventional logic, although we know Nancy Pelosi doesn't use conventional logic, she uses Democrat logic. No. This would actually increase the likelihood of Nancy Pelosi actually sending them to the Senate if, once again, we were exercising conventional logic. But so that wouldn't make sense. Let's look at number 2. After all the evidence was presented to the public across the board, Democrats, Republicans, independents, left and right-leaning, felt less comfortable with the idea of impeachment. Jimmy Dore did an amazing piece on this. So once again, if I'm Donald Trump, I'm like, hey, go ahead, send it to the Senate, bro. Get some more facts out there. Let's call the witnesses. Let's bring them to the forefront. Let's call Joe Biden. Let's call Hunter Biden. I would be championing impeachment right now.
That's exactly. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm running on impeachment right now. Honestly, and the fact that Pelosi hasn't sent it to the Senate, it shows two things. One, she knows damn well that it's not going to progress, and even McConnell has come out and said that he has the votes for acquittal. I mean, he's been wheeling and dealing this whole time, and we already knew that Democrats are going to be so outnumbered here. I mean, they were going to need to convince at least 20 some odd Republicans to vote with them on this, and that's just never going to happen.
I didn't even think they were going to get every Democrat in the Senate, to be honest with you.
Well, and I did a quick segment on that in my last show, not last week, but the week before, about. So, Senator Doug Jones from Alabama came out and said that, there was gaps in the impeachment testimony and that he wasn't even sure. Now, to be fair, Doug Jones is an Alabama Democrat, so he's basically a Republican, right?
Hey, so that Nancy Pelosi and them push, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, they all take money from the same people. Doug Jones and Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, they're very much establishment Democrats taking money from Raytheon, General Dynamics, and
but
all the good people.
When you think about Nancy Pelosi, never wanted impeachment anyway, so I guess Doug Jones is voting alongside Nancy Pelosi.
And that brings me to number 2, is that Pelosi this whole time has been using this impeachment as nothing but a political football, which is why she's holding on to it until the very last minute. Mm-hmm. And she's going to use it, possibly, I would say, if he gets reelected, to sabotage the entirety of his next term.
Yeah. Although it could grow stale by then. It could grow stale by then.
I mean, it already has gone stale. I mean, nobody cares. Like, I've had interactions with numerous people on Twitter whenever, I like to troll people and tell them, hey, good job wasting everybody's time because this isn't going to do anything whatsoever. They're like, well, we just wanted to say we impeached him. Well, congratulations. I guess you made a whole lot of progress. It didn't, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. So,
and it's funny to me too, because when you really think about it, if you look at the situation with Iran, once again, where this is absolutely what he did was absolutely an impeachable offense, and there wouldn't even be any discussion about it if we didn't allow the Democrats to just rip out Tulsi's No More Presidential Wars Act from the bill, which is like it's still unfathomable to me because the Democrats are the ones talking about how we need to impeach Donald Trump. You had a get out of jail free card. And it's scarier to me because I wonder how far in advance. They're saying that they didn't know this was going to happen. And like for like Tulsi or Bernie, I do believe they didn't know. But you're telling me you rip out that specific piece of legislation that would have allowed you to immediately remove Trump from office right before he does this. And I have been saying for a long time, bro, I said it's really weird that they haven't passed the NDAA yet. They pass it around July. Every single year, Tulsi's No More Presidential Wars Act gets slipped in, and all of a sudden it's being held up. It's not being voted on. And Trump's not signing it. And then that shit gets ripped out. They gave this man more money for war, then he does this. It's not a coincidence. I don't give a damn what nobody says. But the fact that the same Democrats were the same ones saying we have to remove him because he's so bad. He took that phone call. He assassinated man. Hey, I mean, Trump, how you gonna assassinate him without at least talking to us first? They're more mad about that.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like I made that point earlier as well. That it's the Democrats, the establishment Democrats. I should clarify, aren't exactly mad. They're not mad at all, actually, that Trump did this thing, right? That he struck and that he assassinated Soleimani. What they're mad about is that he didn't ask them for permission first.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly it.
Because make no mistake, they would have gladly given him that permission because, as you and I both know, that the war party is all one party, and they all get along when it comes to bombing countries full of brown people.
Yes.
So that is exactly what that they would have definitely given him that. They would have definitely given him the permission. They're just mad that they didn't get it. And there's a lot of. I guess there is some nuance to be caught here. I mean, if somehow Trump had, declared him a terrorist, then I guess he could have used the ONF and would have been able to bypass Congress.
That's actually what he did. He declared him a terrorist a minute ago, and once again, Tulsi was so far ahead. She's like, we've never seen anything like that. There's a reason he's doing this, because once you be in the Patriot Act that Roe kind of voted for, yippee. Once again, Roe showing his true colors. That Patriot Act reaffirms his ability to go ahead and take out terrorist threats that are deemed imminent. But once again, he was not a terrorist. He was a general. Whether or not you liked him is relevant. Right. He was a general.
I mean, yeah, and the president has too many outs as far as congressional approval is concerned when it comes to like what he can and cannot do. Like the fact that I guess he really only needs congressional approval to declare war, like to literally declare war on a country, because that's the way it stands since 9/11 and since the Patriot Act and the authorized use of military force have gone into effect. The president just almost has sweepingly unilateral powers when it comes to declaring who is not a terrorist, and that distinction is so important, as he can just say, you know what, you're a terrorist, drop this bomb, boom. It's like that Geico commercial with Pinocchio. We're like, you've got potential.
Yeah, and then Trump has basically become the Oprah of like presidents when it comes to calling.
You're a
terrorist. You're a terrorist. You're all terrorists. Here are your bombs. Like, check under your seat. There's a bomb for you. There's a bomb for you. Bro, it's crazy. What's interesting too is the fact that we with the Democrats that are clearly once again more mad that he didn't ask for permission. They're treating the impeachment like it's mutually exclusive with the Iran conflict. Right? They're like, oh, he did this to distract from impeachment. Hold up, motherfucker. Shouldn't this be the same thing? Shouldn't we be impeaching him on this? This shouldn't be a distraction from an impeachment. It should be like pushing,
the cause of.
Yeah, your attention should now be more focused on the impeachment. But no, because if we do that, then you got to look at that next Democrat president that they might try to install. That's what happens next. Look, and if they do this, then you can impeach them for the same thing you impeached Donald Trump for. And God knows we can't have Democratic presidents getting impeached for committing war crimes, or else Obama might be in jail.
We can't have that, well, dude. Yes, I mean Clinton might fucking be in jail if we're going back that far. When we look at the whole, what happened in Kosovo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. But I digress from that. The thing about this is that as far as the asking for permission, did you see where Trump basically said that, hey, my tweets were sufficient enough notice? Basically, he tried to argue that his tweets were sufficient notice to Congress because, I guess Lindsey Graham knew, but Chuck Schumer didn't. He said, hey, I put a tweet out.
Oh, my God.
So, you could have just checked my feed, check my TL.
Oh,
y'all would have known all about it.
Oh, my God, bro. This man's a president. Oh, my God. It's like a fucking dream or a nightmare, probably.
Hey, look, I'm laughing, but it's only because it's just sad.
It's so sad.
We gotta deal with this.
Yesterday I was on my live stream, man, and that, I was doing the play-by-play live updates, and they were like, okay, obviously, like, this is a big deal. Trump's about to address the nation. So I'm like, all right, everybody, let's strap ourselves in. The president's about to address the nation, as you would expect. But he don't address the nation on TV. This motherfucker gets on Twitter. And he starts off which is expected, right? This kid's expected right now. In fact, I went to Twitter first. I immediately was like, all right, what does Trump say about this? I didn't go to CNN and look for a video. Like, Trump done said something about Twitter on this. I was surprised he didn't say something immediately. I'm glad he fucking waited for a second. But this man said,
he said for everyone else.
He said, right? He said, all is well. All is well, everybody. All is well. Okay, bro. Why was the previous update the White House is having increased security? The update before that, if the United States retaliates, then they're about to take out Israel. They're going to take out the UAE. They're about to start attacking Saudi Arabia. Iran was not playing. And this motherfucking first thing he says out of his mouth is all is well. Bruh.
We're just going to start singing Silent Night.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell. This just, man.
Look, I read that tweet and I was like, okay, no, it's not, because there's literally missiles flying through the air between countries. Dubai has apparently been threatened. So
yep.
Yeah, no, but it's all good. We're all good, man. It's just imminent threats of death.
Oh, and us. Duh, my bad. I forgot about that part. Iran was like, oh, if you try to attack us, we're gonna attack American soil. Like they said this straight up. Like, and I'm like, bro, I live by fucking SOCOM, bro. I live down the street from SOCOM. Down the street. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to my mom's house. Oh shit, she lives by Fort Bragg. I'm gonna go to my brother's. Oh shit, he lives by Oceana and Norfolk. Somebody invited me to Milwaukee though. So like I might go chill out there and go watch Giannis. So like that's the only place I feel like I'm safe right now. Key West, I can't go to Key West. Key West got a Navy base. Nobody know that shit, but Key West got a Navy base out there. Like,
I mean, look, I'm about an hour away from Fort Bragg, so
oh yeah,
I'm an hour away from Fort Bragg one way and an hour away from Camp Lejeune the other way.
Yeah.
So North Carolina has got
the whole Eastern Seaboard is just fucked.
Military.
The whole Eastern Seaboard really, because you got Benny. It's like you got the Naval Base Key West. I can't remember what it's called. Then you got SOCOM. Then you got Benning. There's another base in Tampa. There's another base in you got Fort what's in South Carolina? Fort Jackson. Then you got Lejeune, Fort Bragg. I think they just Pope Air Force Base, which I think is merged with Fort Bragg. Then you have what's the one in Maryland? There was one in Maryland too, but I think it got shut down. Obviously, you have DC. Like,
right.
They just got New York. New York is just fucked for a whole different reason. It's just the whole Eastern Seaboard is terrified right now. Oh, Virginia, of course. You got Army bases, Navy bases, and Air Force bases are in Virginia. Like,
yeah, Virginia's loaded.
It's not a game. I mean, I'm laughing because like, what the hell can we do at this point except for keep telling the truth? But man, I wish that the Middle East was closer to the West Coast side, but they ain't nothing on the West Coast side, so they don't come after all the military bases. Like, there's a couple of them over there, but like they might go visit the West Coast too often. Like, bro, I like California too much. I'm not gonna go beat up on California, but man,
right.
We got a lot of Jewish people in Florida, bro. I'm not sure how Iran feels about all the Israeli presence in South Florida. They might confuse me for one of them. I'm not Ashkenazi though. We get oppressed. Okay, if you're a black Jew, you get oppressed too, Iran. Don't forget that. We not the same. We don't on the same on the totem pole. Oh man,
well, I will say that one of the things that bothered me the most, and might just be me being like an idiot or a quirky one like I am, but one of the things that really got under my skin the most yesterday, once the news started breaking that these strikes were happening on these bases in Iraq. Excuse me, was the fact that there was the initial unconfirmed reports of what was it, like 30 U.S. troops had been killed in the blasts.
Yeah, luckily I saw that there wasn't.
Numerous outlets. I mean, I know one in particular, Raw Story.
Really?
At least there were, numerous. At least one. But I feel like I'm not gonna say numerous outlets.
No, there were because CNN said that they actually CNN got it right. Surprisingly, it was like no, there are no confirmed reports about that. We don't know where they're getting that from.
But it was trending #1 on Twitter after it happened, and because all of these white check marks. Well, I use night mode, so
I use night mode too. I know what you mean.
But verified Twitter was up in arms talking about, we've lost 30 U.S. troops. I know Raw Story was running. They still haven't retracted their since ratioed article about losing 30 U.S. troops in the blasts.
That's so crazy.
And it really just it was like, come on, man. Like, I know we're indie media, right? But the fact still remains is that we have an obligation to the thousands of people that follow us on Twitter, that tune into these streams, that read our articles or whatnot. We have obligations to be factual, and we have obligations to especially in a situation like when it comes to the loss of life. Mm-hmm. These are families that we're talking about, and they're especially living in a community like I do that's surrounded by military installments, and tons of military families that we just deployed several from Fort Bragg just the other day. So
yesterday, last night.
Yeah, and then it was a couple weeks ago too. I mean, we've been steadily pushing them out there. It's not something to just rush to depress.
Yeah, I don't play about when we're talking about.
We know
when we're talking about loss of life with U.S. troops. I really don't play about that because I'm even though I'm from New York, I was raised in Fayetteville. I was stationed in Fort Bragg, and if there's a life lost overseas, it's almost a 98% chance it's one of my friends. It's one of my friends' families. It's somebody that I served with, like, just because of the nature of the beast. And if you're going to put out a tweet like that before getting confirmation, bro, that's disgusting. Because there are people texting their family. We in my group chat with all my friends who are military, and they're like, bro, did y'all hear anything? Do y'all know who was killed? Do you know if... Like, what the hell? Why would you tweet something out like that without confirming
it's
it?
Massive. And I feel like a lot of that stems from the fact that, by and large, left media or establishment media, and verified Twitter and establishment Democrats, neoliberals in general, are in such a hurry to demonize President Trump. That
yes,
I say this in a weird way, but I don't really know how else to say it. It's almost like a large section of our populace almost wants worst case scenario to become true.
Oh, it ain't almost. It ain't no almost.
Just so they have a finger to point at Trump and say, "Hey, look what you did. You fucked up. Look,
that's 100%.
Congratulations on killing this." And I feel like that's,
like they would want Russia to attack us. They would want Russia to actually have hacked our election so they can say that Trump was working with Russia. They would want that. Yes. 100%.
They wanted him to have done something illegal so they could impeach him. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is stuff that, wouldn't you, in a logical world, if you're president, the leader of your country, who you may not agree with politically, but I mean, who always will? I mean, you're never going to always agree with 100% of the time, especially whenever they come and go on rotating basis, like we have here. But why would if your president or your leader was accused of doing something, wouldn't you want it to not be true?
Right? Wouldn't you want it to, like, hey, man, I was like, man, I really hope that Trump didn't do that dumb shit, because that's stupid. You shouldn't, like, I was trying to give Trump the benefit of the doubt on Iran for I guess Iran too, because Tucker Carlson initially stopped him from retaliating the first time. And I was thankful for that. I praised him for that, because I was like, we should all be praising him for this. So because the more people that praise him for not going to war with Iran, for not escalating military tensions with Iran, we know how fragile this man's ego is. Therefore, he will respond to the positive reinforcement by not escalating tensions with Iran. But instead, you have these OD Trump loyalists who are going to praise him no matter what, and that's become more clear now than ever. And if you're one of the, and I gotta give a shout out real quick to the Trump supporters that follow, or at least some of the former Trump supporters that follow this channel. I have a lot of respect for y'all who have come out. There was one guy, and I don't want to call him out because I don't know if he's okay with that. I mean, he commented about it, but he said, you know what? I give up. I was wrong. I thought he was going to be anti-war. He was not. He lied, and I fell for it. But I'm not falling for it anymore. I got a lot of respect for somebody who can do that, who can look themselves in the mirror and say, this ain't it. This is not what I voted for. Because a lot of people, because of their seeing things through the prism of their egos, they can't admit they just read the room wrong. They didn't get it right. Now, granted, you got the part not voting for Hillary Clinton right. You got that part right, because let's be real. If Hillary Clinton was in power once again, the moment they said, well, if you respond, we're going to attack all these countries, they would have been attacked. They would have been attacked immediately.
Absolutely.
Like, I have no doubt in my mind about that.
Me neither. I 100% agree with that. I mean, look, I get on Twitter this morning because I do a lot of my shit talking on there, and what's trending number one is,
and on the MCSC podcast, MCSC Uncensored podcast, Robbie talks his shit on there. You can follow him on rockfin.com, and you can follow him on Patreon and get the MCSC Uncensored podcast. Go ahead, I hit that little plug for you.
Fact. Yeah, appreciate that. But no, like, I get on, and the thing, number one trending topic on Twitter is hashtag I voted for Hillary. And
you're fucking joking.
I'm sitting here just looking at this shit.
Oh my god, it is trending number one. I'm done.
And I'm like, guys, what do you think would have happened last night if Hillary Clinton was our president? And I mean, because honestly, we'd be in a full-scale war by 6 o'clock this morning.
Yes, absolutely,
100%.
6 o'clock. You giving her the benefit of the doubt, Robbie. I'm disappointed in you. You giving her the benefit of the doubt. We would have been up all night covering this. We would have had to bring in Pasta and Fiorella. We would have had all four to be like, man, let's go ahead and strap into this shit, because we about to be here for a hot minute. We would be at war right now. We would be at war right now. It would be a world war. It's scary. What we're seeing right now is scary, but there's a caveat. There was nothing that Trump can do to convince me that Hillary Clinton would have been better. They're both horrible. That's where we're at.
Right.
We should have never cheated Bernie. That's where we're at. That's the moral of the story.
That's true. I mean, Trump's speaking right now, and for some reason they took off the closed captioning, so I can't see what he's saying. But I can only tell you that
could make out primate.
I can only tell you that that I think Mark Milley, I think that's his name.
Yeah, the Joint Chief of Staff Chairman.
Yeah, he's standing over Trump's left shoulder, looking shook right now. I mean, he looks shook.
What?
Yeah.
Oh shit! What is he
saying? I don't know what he's. He just got a look on his face.
He's like, I never thought that I was gonna go to war. I was just playing. These stars is for show. I get a lot of women. I get laid a lot with these stars. I want to plan on actually going to war.
But I mean, Trump looks like he just got straight out of he got himself a spray tan. but Mark really looks absolutely shook right now. So I mean, look, I hope that things don't escalate any further than they have. I mean, there was people I've seen again, unconfirmed reports that it was just kind of like that was our retaliation, that was our tit for tat. We don't want to go to war. We just wanted to hit you back for what y'all did to us. You know,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
And
so,
you know what?
I mean,
I gotta give a shout out to Iran real quick. Because this is what the hell you're supposed to do. You know how they retaliated without breaking international law? They're like, what we did was they tweeted out, actually. They had the United Nations article that they followed. It said, we followed United Nations article X, Y, and Z. We responded to an attack against one of our military generals by attacking the base that the missiles were launched from. That's all. We don't want war. We don't want escalation, but we are prepared for it. Make no mistake about it. Bro, so you're telling me y'all can even respond by not violating international laws? It's times like this where I gotta be like, bro, I'm sorry, y'all. For those of y'all out in the international community, I'm sorry. We got some dumb motherfuckers in charge. It is not representative of the rest of the country. There's a lot of dumb motherfuckers in the rest of the country. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of those.
yeah.
But we just got some dumb people in charge. We really do.
And they're uninformed too, and I think that's the giant problem that we have in this country is that people aren't being informed properly, and it's not all on the media. It's because we have a government that runs the smoothest when it's operating at a high level of misinformation and disinformation. And that's, I mean, ask CIA Director Pompeo. I mean, he's on the record multiple times saying, you know, that look, this is what we do. We lie. We lie to each other. We lie to the American public. We lie to other governments. We lie to, I mean, the whole government. The government. The more truth that we know, the less power they have.
Mm-hmm.
I've always believed that, and I'll always believe that. I mean, there's nothing positive for our government to be gained. There's nothing positive to be gained by our government by giving us information and actual knowledge and factual knowledge of what's going on in the world.
That's how I feel about voting too. So like they wouldn't work so hard to hide the truth if the truth didn't matter. They wouldn't work so hard to rig the elections if the elections didn't matter, and if who in power didn't matter. Because that's what they tell you. Oh, they're nihilists who will say, well, it doesn't matter who's in power, it's all the same. So why are they working so hard to rig the elections to make sure certain people get in power if being in power doesn't matter? You get what I'm saying? Like, why did they work so hard to undercut Trump the moment he got in office? Because he was unpredictable, for better or for worse. But because they were worried that he could, because of his, his ego and wanting to be liked, that he'll do things that the deep state or the military-industrial complex did not approve of. Like pulling the CIA out of Syria, for example. What happened? We pulled the CIA out of Syria. Oh, chemical weapons attacks. Like, that's what happens. So the number one thing for me is accountability. Like, we're never going to be able to stop situations like this from happening, where the president feels that they can just assassinate generals. Because at the end of the day, if you're a Trump supporter, first of all, I got some news for you. You better go hop your ass right into that recruiter office. I hope that y'all are out there 8 a.m. sharp signing your life away. Go ahead. I hope that's where you're at this morning. If you did not go do that, you are a bitch. You are a pussy. You are a coward. You was talking all that shit all week, right? Oh, Iran ain't got nothing on our military. We fuck Iran up. Blase, blase, blah. No. Okay, that's cool. Go ahead. Because I've been in the military. Them motherfuckers who are in charge of us ain't no smarter than you or I. Okay? My brother was just joking the other day. They were him and my best friend with my group chat, and they were joking, and he was like, bro, how do you deal with these motherfuckers in this particular job description? And he was like, bro, I be wanting to punch them every day, because they're so stupid. They're no smarter than the manager at your McDonald's, the manager at your local Best Buy. They are no smarter. They just feel smarter because they have a rank where they can point at you, tell you to do something, you cannot question them. That is why they feel smarter. That's not intelligence, though. These are the people who are making the decisions in the military. And also, we outsource a lot of our shit to China. So I'm curious as to how our weapons are actually going to work when we go to war. Not even joking.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those people, hey, I hope you was at that recruiting office this morning. Cause they got a plane
Speaking of
in Pope Air Force Base waiting for you to hop on.
Speaking of outsourcing, so I don't know. I did an article a couple months back about the private militaries and the one that's formerly known as Blackwater, that's now called Academy. And
I
there was a piece
that,
about kind of who owns them and who they take money from. Well, they were in the news again this week. Not Academy, but their parent company, Constellus. They were actually in there twice. So Constellus owns a group, numerous PMCs, and one of them, Centera, was named in a lawsuit over the last week by like 100 and some Gold Star families as being part of. They were paying the Taliban protection money, which would be a. So they were named in a lawsuit and with numerous other PMCs, but one of them was part of the Constellus group. Apparently, they were paying the Taliban protection money, so that would be a violation of the Anti-Terrorism Act. And also, Constellus also had guards or partially employed a lot of the guards that were running security at the U.S. Embassy in Iraq that got supposedly overrun over the weekend, and they are in the middle of filing for a $1 billion debt restructuring, which you can go ahead and assume that they're going to get that, But yeah, it's just these we outsource. This is a problem for me because yeah, you could look at it like, oh well, this could have been U.S. troops. Well, had they been U.S. troops, they might have been more equipped to deal with the situation at hand than they were, and but instead we had to outsource to these private militaries, and now
the Taliban apparently.
Apparently, yeah, and the Taliban, because they
hold up, but what's new? Hold up, wait, what's new? Outsourcing to terrorist organizations is kind of the standard, basically, at this point.
But but it has to be. You have to wonder, though. I mean, why are you paying the Taliban to protect you if you're a private military?
And
you protect yourselves?
I know, right? That's the whole thing. So you need protection while you protect the other people? Because now I'm questioning why we paying you to protect me if you can't even protect yourself, dog.
We fucking hired you to protect us, bitch.
Oh my God! You know what that remind me of? Do you see that most recent stand up of Kevin Hart? The one his new Netflix special, bro. He had a part where he said there was a home invasion and his dogs were hiding. And he had like a big ass guard dog. He said the dogs were hiding when his home got invaded. And when they left, he said the dogs walked in looking at him like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody was able to break in. I feel unsafe. We got to get a guard dog, man. We got to do that. That's exactly what that shit is.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I can't do it. Moral of the story about all this is that, ladies and gentlemen, this is about the money. It's always about the money. I did a segment about this, breaking all this down. I'm not gonna go through all that again. But long story short, Saudi Arabia and Iran were undergoing peace talks. I know some people are like, well, maybe Saudi Arabia set up the Iranian general. No, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I get why people would immediately jump to that, but whenever you jump to a conclusion, your next question then has to be, what is there to gain? And there was nothing there to be gained by Saudi Arabia. There, however, was much more to be gained when you do your cost-benefit analysis. If, I don't know, I take my oil company out of the state's hands, which I know is controlled by the United States, make it a public IPO traded on the stock market. I team up with Iran, who has the largest oil reserves in the region and in the world, especially because I know Iran isn't too fond of the United States. I know that the United States is the #1 exporter of oil in the world. I also know that if they get control of Iran, they'll then have the #1 oil reserve under their control, which will make them the monopoly on oil in the world, and that would leave one country in competition with them, which would be Saudi Arabia. And yeah, we've been allies with Saudi Arabia historically, but Saudi Arabia also knows how we treat our allies once they eventually become competition. Saudi Arabia would be cut out the picture permanently, and their families already holding on to power by a thread. And if we get control of all that oil, all those resources, Saudi Arabia would no longer be necessary to keep Iran under control. They would be gone. And that's why whenever they start publicly trading literally it's the first quarter, literally I think with the day before they start, Soleimani is assassinated. The day before. And then we found out from the prime minister we were going there to finalize opening up that dialogue with Saudi Arabia. And this is a process that has started in October. If you all recall, around the same exact time we start escalating tensions, blaming Iran for everything. We claimed that Iran was responsible for attacking Saudi Arabian oil wells. But doesn't that sound like a likely story claimed by the United States? Because if you know there's about to be peace talks between the two, what do? Oh, look at your oil. They're attacking your oil. They don't want to work with you. Hey, Big Brother's going to come and take care of you. We're going to go over there. We're going to protect those oil fields from those big bad Iranians. Okay, bro? We got you, man. We're going to go over there. We're going to take care of you because they're the enemies. We're your allies. Don't forget that. Isn't that interesting? We blamed Iran for literally everything. We scapegoated them for everything. And it just don't add up. The only thing that always adds up. If it don't make sense, it's because it makes sense. If you catch my drift. It's about the money. If it don't make sense, it's because it makes sense. And that's really what we're seeing here. It's to make a long story short, it's always about the money. And I put the link to that video, by the way, in the description. It's a little bit longer, but I promise you it's worth it. The video is about 45 minutes long, but it has all the links to everything I discussed in that video. Talks about the meetings. It talks about the lies that were told to us about the attacks, quote unquote, from Iran on against the United States, quote unquote. The lives that were claimed to have been lost, but were not really lost. And this is confirmed. All that stuff. So I strongly urge you all to go watch that video if you have not done that yet.
Yeah.
With that being said, man, you got anything to finish up with?
I mean, not too much. Just to kind of echo your point about the money being the object here. Both, as you said, in abroad, you know, with all that money tied up, but also over here, there's lots of money being thrown into our politicians by companies and corporations that directly profit from war. I saw you retweet or you posted an article the other day about, maybe it was yesterday, about how Lockheed Martin has already locked up like $1 billion F-35 contract, or whatever the number was. I would say
1.9 billion. 1.9 billion.
There's another company, I think it was Raytheon, that just locked up another close to $1 billion to develop missiles, not just for our military, but for militaries the world over that they're going to be selling it to. I did a quick thread the other day, basically showing how much money these defense companies are using or spending on lobbying so far this year. Northrop Grumman, United Technologies, Boeing, and Lockheed Martin apiece have spent about $10 million each lobbying our federal government. And all of them were lobbying for the NDAA this year. So you can go ahead and wonder why that provision was removed. There's lots of money to go in there. And it's not just for lobbying. Like, say, for Northrop Grumman gave both the Republican and Democratic Governors Associations $100,000 a piece this year. They've been donating upwards of $30,000 a piece to the NRSC, the DSCC, the DCCC. Both parties are taking, and that's just Northrop Grumman, right? We can go down the list if I wanted to. I'm not going to take up all that time here. But United Technologies has been given, again, what was it? 15 grand to the DSCC, 15 grand to the DCCC, and of course their Republican counterparts. All of the major companies do this. That Nancy Pelosi has taken money for than Mitch McConnell has, and that's
crazy.
Exactly. And I mean, but it's not, at least in my opinion.
I mean, it's not. Yeah.
It sounds, it sounds crazy to people it sounds crazy. Like me and you, we look at this stuff all day, every day, right? So like we know this, but to the general public, you would think, or at least what they would have you believe, is that Democrats by and large are against war, and Republicans are the ones that are always trying to bomb people in the Middle East, which just simply isn't the case. Um, like I said, they might disagree on semantics of healthcare, but they really, they're still not going to give us what we want when it comes to that either. But the one thing they really will always agree on is bombing people and starting
Yep.
wars and bloodshed. And just looking at the amount of money that both parties, not just candidates, but the party institutions, so the DNC, the RNC, the DSCC, DCC, these are institutions, not just. And when they take this money, and like way back when Elizabeth Warren, for instance, said that okay, she's not going to hold high dollar behind closed doors fundraisers, blah blah blah, right? But she did say she would participate in DNC fundraisers, right? Fundraisers that the
For the
DNC held.
DNC, yeah, which is
So basically, she's going to take the DNC's money. Well, where do you think that money is coming from, right?
yeah.
I mean,
And
that
she's
money is
hoping you're
still
not smart
coming
enough to
from
figure it out.
exactly. But that's the point I was making back then. That's the point I'm making now. It's the point I'm going to continue to make is that there are ways around this, and that these politicians will still take this money. These institutions are still taking these checks from these companies that directly profit off of starting wars. And it's just something that I feel like we all need to be aware of. And speaking of presidential candidates, I want to end on this little note. Speaking of general dynamics, our buddy Tom Steyer still has $180 million plus invested in a hedge fund, or I'm sorry, he's got a
Tom,
lot
let
of
me hold a
money
dollar.
invested in a hedge.
Let me hold a dollar,
Yeah.
Tom.
So Tom Steyer he started a venture capital fund, or I'm sorry, he started an investment firm in 1986 called Farallon Capital. He no longer works there, but he still has an account there, right? And part of that hedge fund account that he has contains a $180 million investment in military defense contractor company General Dynamics, which he still has to this day. So even Mr. Billionaires shouldn't exist, or Mr. I'm the good billionaire, Tom Steyer.
I'm the good billionaire.
He still has some skeletons in that closet of his. So, like I said, I mean, we just gotta keep our eyes open. Gotta keep,
I feel like he shouldn't even be allowed to run for president while he has those investments. That's how I feel. I feel like that's one of those. So whenever people are like, "Oh, we need to see Trump's tax returns," we need to see Steyer's tax returns. Like we need to see everybody's tax returns, really. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but they were quick to scream that about Trump, but not at all about Steyer. And he's a billionaire. The moment he said billionaire, I was like, oh, I need to see all that shit. I need to see all that. Ain't no such thing as an innocent billionaire, bro. You ain't that Mark. Yeah, you ain't that Mark Cuban billionaire.
Booming.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Cuban's a different type of billionaire. Like I'm not like a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of him as an NBA owner. But like he also invented his own technology and eventually sold it, and that's how he became like worth like $2 billion or something like that. And then his basketball team took off. And like that's a different type of billionaire. And his is mostly tied up in the Mavs. So it ain't like a Tom Steyer billionaire. So
right.
When we say there's no innocent, there's no such thing as an innocent billionaire. We obviously there's always exceptions to that rule. But when you're talking about politics, if they're getting involved in the politics, there's absolutely no such thing as an innocent billionaire. Period. So the innocent billionaires stay away from politics. And that's real talk. You don't know. Most of y'all don't know their names.
Right.
So with that being said, people, thank you all so much for tuning into this MCSC Uncensored podcast. Like I said, if you want to catch the other MCSC Uncensored podcast every Wednesday, you can become a premium member on Rockfin, or you can become a patron of either myself or Robbie, or both preferably. And we do it every Wednesday. It's usually just audio, but because of this, the gravity of this situation, we felt like we should go live and do this particular podcast for everybody to see. And so this is basically what you get. Most of the time we cover the election and things like that, but hey, World War III is about to start, so I feel like that should take precedent. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this MCSC Uncensored podcast with myself, Niko House, and Robbie Yeager. Follow both of us on Twitter. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.